Hey guys, welcome to That Florida Feeling. How's everybody doing this week? I hope everybody's good. I hope it's been a good week. Thank you to everybody who's interacted on the Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and TikTok pages. I can't believe that... I'm not surprised that steak won in the poll, but I'm really surprised that shrimp beat chicken. I shouldn't, because it's Florida, but I don't know, I guess I am. Thank you also to everybody who has interacted on the Facebook page. My polls are fun. I'm glad that some of us think that we turned waterproof at 18. I know I do, because I don't even know where my umbrella is, which is probably a bad thing during the rainy season, but it is what it is. Wait 5 minutes, weather will change. It's fine. Thanks to everybody who helps make this podcast successful, especially on Facebook with the interactions. If you have a second, I really would appreciate a review on Spotify or Apple. The only reason I asked for Apple is because for some reason that's still one of the well-known podcast platforms, and it really just helps to get the podcast out to other people. All right, so I like to do fun, interactive things all week, and I like to tell you about fun places, and today is one of those fun place kind of podcast. I know that a lot of people visit Florida each year, and a lot of people always want something new and fun, or less touristy, or less people. And Florida's really full of some of those places. Florida's full of some unique, fun, weird, possibly even creepy roadside attractions. And that was really what Florida was built on. That's really what created its tourist vibe back in the early 1900s. And so I always think that these places are overlooked. So if you're looking for something fun to do that's off the beaten path, maybe indoors because it's hot and humid or raining, or just something that, a lot of people don't know about or many tourists aren't doing because it's not a beach, I have some suggestions for you today. The first place I want to tell you about is actually a fun one, and I've heard of it, but I didn't realize exactly what it was. Did you know that there's a place in Florida called Monkey Island? And I'm not talking about the cannonballing monkeys at Silver Springs. No, there's actually a place called Monkey Island. Monkey Island is a small island on the Homosassa River. The island is near the Florida Cracker Roadside Resort and old downtown Homosassa. The island was actually man-made. It was created by G.A. Ferguson, who was a developer in the Homosassa area. He actually hired someone to create the island out of a large pile of rocks that were in the river because he didn't want boats to run aground in that area. That's kind of nice of him. The island actually gets its name from the monkeys that were relocated there from the Homosassa Springs Wildlife Park in the 1960s. The monkeys were moved there because of their problematic behavior. And if you're wondering what problematic behavior they had, they stole candy, they bit people, they even went and got into people's cars. Yet another reason to lock your car in Florida. So the island is home to monkeys today. It's actually home to 3 spider monkeys, 2 of which are actually from the original group, which I think that's really cool. I also did not realize that monkeys lived that long. Now, the river is actually a natural barrier, as monkeys don't like to swim. Yes, I know the ones that were cannonballing in the river last year, but I don't think those monkeys knew that. These monkeys apparently do not like to swim. The island is actually cool. It's set up as their own little playground. It's got a lighthouse, some cedar trees, and then it's got their own version of their playground. And the monkeys are taken care of. They get food each day from the staff resort and made sure that they're well checked on. And it's a fun little stop to see a small open-air animal habitat that has existed since old Florida. I just thought that was really cool. I had heard of it. I did not realize exactly what it was, and now I can't wait to go visit it. All right, the next stop on our road trip is all the way down in the Keys on Islamorada. And we're going to see Betsy. What is Betsy? Betsy is a very large lobster. Betsy is actually a 30-foot tall, 40-foot long lobster. Her home is the Rainbow Village just off the Overseas Highway. And it's a really, really cool area. The Rainbow Village itself is an artist community on the island. And it's a fun place to stop. But you can't miss Betsy. She stands guard outside the village. And I'm not going to lie to you, she is slightly terrifying looking. But very cool nonetheless. The details are so lifelike. It really is almost creepy. It kind of feels like a real 30-foot lobster is going to come for you. Betsy was actually created in the 1980s to celebrate the species and has really become her own attraction. Her first home was actually in the south part of Florida, but like Key West area, but now she's come to call the village home in 2009. So if you're driving down the Keys anytime soon, you're not going to miss Betsy, especially if you're off the Overseas Highway. She's on Islamorada, and you need to stop and say hi to her. I mean, seriously, walk up to her if you dare. She's really terrifying. I don't know if the next time we go down there, I'll be able to walk all the way up to her. It really is kind of creepy. But don't forget to stop and say hi to Betsy. She's definitely her own attraction. The next stop we're going to talk about is in Bradenton, and that's just south of Clearwater, north of Sarasota. And Bradenton's a really nice area. It's got a really cool name. It's really pretty. I think it's often overlooked. But have you ever wondered why the name Bradenton? Well, I'm going to tell you. It got its name from a once beautiful manor called Braden Castle. Now, in the 1840s, two brothers, Joseph and Hector Braden, came from Tallahassee to South Florida to rebuild their lost fortunes. They messed up in North Florida. They're going to go down and they're going to try it again. And you're wondering probably how they got this land? Well, there was an Armed Occupation Act of 1842. And that's where the government granted cheap land to those who wanted to cultivate it and defend it against the growing Seminole tribe. This takes place after the Second Seminole War, so tensions are still really, really high. So the brothers took their chance and they acquired 1,100 acres for raising crops, and they did. I mean, they actually turned it really successful. They made it into one of the largest plantations in the country for sugarcane. So they were definitely going to get their fortune back. Now, Braden Castle comes in. It's a 2-story manor, and it was referred to as the castle by the locals because when it was built by slave laborers using a mixture of what is called tabby. Tabby is crushed oyster shells, lime, water, and sand. Honestly, tabby kind of sounds like coquina. But it was what it was used to build it, and it's very strong. And the castle stood very proud. And it actually even successfully warded off a Seminole attack in 1856. Now, of course, Civil War hits, plantations fell on hard times, and then Hector passed away. And during all that, the sugarcane was ruined. So the other Dr. Braden, he didn't want to do it anymore. He didn't care. I mean, the castle fell into hands of debtors. How do you say that? Debtors? I don't even know. Okay. Castle got repoed. And he decided he was giving up. He was going to return to the Panhandle. And he didn't care. He didn't want his fortune without his brother. So the castle sat there. But it became kind of like a local's landmark. And it fell into complete disrepair. A fire actually eventually destroyed the house in 1903, and the ruins were left for nature to reclaim. The area eventually became a place for people to pop tents and camp when the tourist boom hit Florida in the early 1900s. Think about that. You're traveling around Florida, and you're going to have to stop somewhere. What do? You just pop a tent. Or you sleep in the back of your car. That was normal. Actually sounds kind of cool. I'm not paying $200 for a hotel that may or may not be good. Sorry. So people would pop their tents around the remains of this castle. And the area actually began to grow as a town around the castle. And the town was actually named Manatee at first. Of course, the town was eventually absorbed into Bradenton in the 1950s. But these ruins weren't forgotten. People still knew about them. People still talked about them. And actually a park was built around the castle. And it included a victory garden. And they named it Braden Castle Park. The area is actually recognized for its unique history. It's actually in a unique historical district, and it became this district in 1985. Now, you can go see these remains today. The remains of Dr. Braden's stately manor is actually still in the center of this park. It is fenced off now. You can't walk right up to it, but you can still see it. It's clearly visible for people to get a glimpse of this unique history. And just remember, the area around the park is also a unique historical district, but it's also a mobile home community, so people live there. So if you do go, kind of be respectful. It is a cool, really unique place to stop on your way down to Sarasota, or you can even stay in Bradenton and see the beaches, take in a spring training game nearby, or just head to another roadside attraction. There's plenty in that area. All right, the next place I want to talk about is really cool. It's actually back in northern Florida, and it's really interesting. I had, again, heard about it. I didn't understand it, and now I can't wait to go. It's the Seacrest Wolf Preserve in Chipley, Florida, and it's a giant preserve for displaced wolves. By the way, people don't realize how big wolves are. They are massive. They are not dog-sized. They are massive. The preserve is 400 acres, and it has a mission. Its mission is to protect these beautiful animals. It's a nonprofit preserve that was founded in 1999, and it's the only kind in the southeastern U.S. Cynthia and Wayne Watkins own the preserve, and they watch over these beautiful creatures. Now, the wolves in this preserve are mostly large gray timber wolves and Arctic wolves that have come from U.S. and Canada. And you can go see them. You can actually see other animals that are also being cared for in the preserve. You can see Arctic foxes, gray foxes, skunks, and even raccoons. And the preserve is there for the animals who would never have stood a chance out on their own. They needed help. They like to their goal, honestly, is to educate people, and they will educate you on these wolves and why they are important to nature. You can take a tour. It's about 2.5 hours. And of course, the tour has strict rules in place as far as clothing and photography for safety reasons. They don't want you to get hurt or hurt the animals. But what's really, really cool about this place is it's one of the few places in the world where you can touch a gray wolf or fox. I think this place sounds amazing. And it's definitely on one of my places to visit soon. I think it would be so cool to get up close to a wolf, just because they look so magnificent. You don't realize how big they are. Of course, I'd be the same person that would go kitty, kitty, kitty to a bobcat, but I would still absolutely love to go pet a wolf. I think it would be so much fun. All right, the next place on our list is going to be the Nancy Forrester Secret Garden in Key West. This garden is one woman's passion, and it's amazing. It's really, really cool because it doesn't feel like you're in a garden outside of the bustling Key West. Nancy Forrester is an environmentalist and an educator who founded her sanctuary for unwanted and abandoned parrots. So this is home to many, many loved parrots. And the garden area is amazing because it's really like walking into a whole other world outside of Key West. It's a little jungle as parrots greet you, and some can even say hello. The parrots stand out against the foliage as you explore the gardens, and Nancy's there most days in the jungle to host Parrot 101 to educate people on how amazing these birds are. The sanctuary does rely on donations to keep things running. They do have a small entrance fee, and it's definitely worth it. I love this place. It definitely shows one woman's love and devotion for unwanted birds, as well as educate people on how amazing these birds are. It's really cool. It's kind of like a relaxed break in the middle of Key West, because Key West is busy. Let's face it. It's crazy. It's fun. It's amazing. But sometimes you just need a quiet moment or a break, and this jungle really delivers that, and it really shows one woman's passion to, how to care. And she did have a larger place, but due to it running on donations, she had to downsize. The parrots were all fine. She did, they were saved, but she did have to go to the place where the jungle is now. I definitely recommend this place in Key West. It's often overlooked, and most people don't even know about it, but I definitely check it out. I mean, I'm not even a bird person. Trust me, when I was doing the Seaside Seabird Sanctuary episode about a year ago, I had trouble going near those birds. But this place is there. I don't know. This place was cool. I didn't have a problem with it. They're little parrots. You can see them. Just you can interact with them. I think it's really cool. So the next time you're in Key West and you want to do something non-touristy, or you just want that moment, definitely go check out this jungle. All right, the last place I want to talk to you about is an eerie place on Merritt Island. It's beautiful, but it's eerie. It's the Georgian Cemetery, or the Cricker Mile Cemetery. The cemetery is one of the oldest in Brevard County. The place is quaint and beautiful with tall trees with low-hanging Spanish moss. Makes it absolutely wonderful, especially when you get that low breeze. But it sits right on the water, and so with the wind lightly blowing that moss, it does kind of add an eerie feeling to the cemetery. I don't know how to actually say this. Gregorian? No, it's not. There's an R. Okay, the Cricker Mile Cemetery is a beautiful place with lots of history, but it's most well known because just one of the people that lay in its grounds. The cemetery is a place where a local murder victim has said to be buried and now haunts the grounds. Her name is Ethel Allen, and she was murdered at 19. I mean, if I was murdered at 19 with my whole life ahead of me, I'd probably haunt you too. She was found dead on the banks of the Indian River Lagoon in the early 1900s. They don't know who or why she was killed, and they kind of think that's part of the reason that she could possibly still be roaming the cemetery today. Now, the cemetery is already said to have an eerie atmosphere with the large trees, low-hanging moss, the wind, and of course, you can hear things off the water. And ghost sightings are actually frequent. People also claim to feel spirits in the area. They believe that Ethel is causing this due to her untimely death. The other thing that stands out is that Ethel's gravestone is handmade. I mean, trust me, it stands out from the rest. It's unique, it's different, it does not fit in. So you definitely can tell which one Ethel's is. The grave is actually regularly decorated by an unknown person, and her grave is most visited one in the cemetery. So if you're looking for something interesting to do, or again, that quiet moment in Brevard County, definitely go check out the cemetery and say hi to Ethel. You can go from daylight to during daylight. It is a cemetery, so please be respectful if you do decide to go say hi to Ethel. Guys, I hope some of these places were interesting to you all, or found something new to do, or even something off the beaten path. Let me know if you've been to one of these places. I would love to see it, or tag me in your photos. If you're on Instagram, tag me in your photos. Hashtag that Florida feeling. I love to see you guys. Thank you to Nancy who tags me. I love seeing your photos. Shelly, you're amazing. Anybody who tags me, I really love it. I love seeing where you guys are in Florida, because, you live in one spot, but you don't always get to the others. So don't forget to say hi to Betsy on the way down to Key West. That's why I did a thing on road trips. They're insanely fun. And the attractions just kind of add to the trips. But you know what else does? Florida man. Sometimes not always for the best. Today's Florida man comes to us from Zephyr Hills. 34-year-old Jonathan Bailey was arrested in front of Walmart for attacking a man with a machete. Man, Florida and Walmart, that's a mixture. They're never boring. I'm surprised we don't have more stories like that. All right, guys, thank you for listening this week. If you do have a second, please do that review. Share the podcast with it so that others can get in on this fun. Don't forget to tag me in your Instagram photos. Don't forget to look out for the polls or questions of the week. I really appreciate you guys interacting. Don't forget to invite people to the Facebook groups, share the TikTok or the Instagram. I hope that everybody has a great week. I really do. Hopefully it's a fun week. Hopefully you do something fun this weekend. Thanks so much for listening, you guys. Don't forget to drink your water. Be nice to one another. And as always, that's your daily dose of sunshine.